Hi, I'm Diane Chu, and I'm here with Dr. Bill Quain to talk about how to become a successful author, writing fast, publishing cheap, and selling more. Welcome, Bill.
Great, Diane. Thanks a lot. We got a lot to cover, so let's jump right into this. And folks, you're going to love this information.
Okay, let's talk about what makes an author successful, because there's two kinds of authors and two kinds of success. So, Bill, tell people a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah, some people write for themselves, and that's great. I mean, they wanted to write a book because they wanted to say something. Other people write for their readers, and so there's really two different kinds of success here. If you write a book for yourself, your main thing is to get it out, get it on the page, get it published. That's going to be your goal. If you're writing for your readers, you want to sell these books or at least get people reading it. So there's really two different kinds of success. We can help either one. We really specialize, though, in people who want to write a book for the readers. They want it out there, and they want to gain the fame, the fortune, the credibility, and the cash that comes from that.
Absolutely, but let's talk a little bit about why people even write books in the first place.
Well, there's a lot of things, Diane. I know it's on the bottom of this list, but credibility is really huge. If you write a book, it changes everything. And what are some of the other things we have listed here for folks?
Well, certainly recognition, which I think goes hand in hand, but also that feeling of satisfaction, that personal satisfaction.
This is something not a lot of people have done in their lives, is write a book. So whether you're writing for yourself or writing for your readers, this feeling of satisfaction is huge for authors. Imagine telling somebody a story if you're a fiction writer that they like. Imagine if you're a nonfiction writer and you're able to educate people, help them make changes in their lives. This is great satisfaction.
It truly is, and of course, lots of us, myself included, enjoy the fame, fortune, and glory.
Well, that's right, Diane. You and I are both authors, and we know how it changes your life when you write that book. So, folks, it's just so important to get a book written. If you've got it in you, you got to get it out of you, get it onto the paper, and get it into the hands of your raving fans.
And that leads to what I think nobody would turn away, which is money.
Money, yeah. If you want to make some money, writing books and building a business around it is a great way to make some cash. Either a full-time living or just to pick up something extra.
But I think a lot of people on this call, and I know certainly myself, we may want to write a book, but we either haven't done it or we're just thinking about it. We keep putting it off. And frankly, Bill, you helped me, I know, and I think that's why truly only an author can help an author, really help an author.
Well, Diane, I've worked with a lot of different people who were supposedly going to help me with my writing and my publishing. And I was lucky because I started off as an author going to a friend of mine who was a very successful author and asking for his help. And what I found is, if I've worked with people over the years here, is that it really takes an author to understand an author. And as you remember, Diane, back in February when I launched my best-selling campaign to get my book Happy Leap Year on the Amazon best-selling list, which it did, the crazy thing was Amazon wiped out all my orders the day before the launch, and we had a bunch of pre-orders, and I couldn't get anybody to respond. The people I was using to help me load the book up there couldn't respond. They weren't authors. They didn't know what people want. So, folks, if you're going to work with somebody, or if you're going to read a book by somebody, now, of course, you've read Write Fast, Publish Cheap, and Sell More, make sure it's written by an author, because only authors can help authors. That's what I found. Diane, I know you feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. And the truth is, I know when I was first writing, you really did know how I felt and what I was trying to accomplish. And it's no mystery that you're as successful as you are. You've written 19 books. You've sold 2.3 million copies worldwide. But you shared with me, and I have to admit, I was surprised that your first 5 books were commercial failures.
My first 5 books made no money at all. It was terrible. Now, folks, can you imagine what would make me go on to write that 6th book, which became an international bestseller? Well, what made me do it was I wanted the money, and so I kept driving myself and making changes. And like a lot of people will try to write something and they'll say, oh, I'm writing from my heart, and so this is what I've written, this is the way it's going to be. I decided I would write whatever it took to get my readers to buy. And that's a big difference. So yeah, my first 5 books, it was pretty painful. But after that, the sixth book, I think I sold about 150,000 copies of that, which was nice, and so that became my first bestseller, international bestseller.
Well, so I think really, I mean, just to reinforce, Bill knows what it feels like to try to get started. And if you have indeed tried to write a book and have either failed commercially or failed to finish, he knows how that feels. But also, more importantly, Bill knows how to revive a book dream. And that's really what we're here to do today.
And that's what this is all about. It's your book dream, folks. And so, we're here directly to help you. And by the way, by the end of this webinar here, you're going to have the information you need to do it.
Exactly. Now, one of the questions I think in so many people's minds is it really possible to write, publish, and sell books today? Well, you've got a true statement here, and I'll let you tell them.
There's never been a better time. This is the best time in the whole world there's ever been to be an author and a published author. It's so easy to get your book published, and we've broken through so many of the barriers, folks. This is just the time to do it.
It really is. And I think let's look at some of the facts. And I think a lot of people can relate to this because every one of us probably has purchased something on Amazon. If you haven't, you're been hiding under a rock somewhere. But Amazon is selling 1 million Kindles per week and has over 100 million credit cards on file.
And all those people, they're buying books and they're looking for something to read. Diane, more people are reading today than ever before, and they're reading all kinds of crazy genre that you may never have thought of before. And so this is a fantastic time for authors to be supplying content to the marketplace.
And I think the biggest thing is that whereas before every author thought that they had to go peddle their wares to a traditional publishing house, I mean, that's really no longer the case. I mean, they no longer control the market.
Well, the internet, and particularly Amazon, has broken the stranglehold that the big publishing houses had on the market. That just doesn't exist anymore. One of the authors I was working with recently, she said, well, my big goal is to get my book into the bookstores. I said, well, I think you better hurry. Because that's not where people buy books anymore, and a lot of them are going away.
It's so true. I miss Borders already, but it's just, that's the facts. Them's the facts. So we're going to be getting into that in some more detail about why you no longer need a traditional publishing house and the freedom you now have as an author to get your book published and into the hands of your readers. But let's take a look at some of the factors that may be holding you back so we can address some of those concerns. And certainly, I know personally that it was difficult for me to get started. I had a lot of ideas, but I really didn't have someone to guide me until I met Bill. I didn't realize really how fast and simple it could be, how inexpensive it really is. I really didn't know how to write a book, and I didn't have a whole lot of confidence. So I had every one of those things holding me back.
Well, and it's amazing, Diane, because most of us have been taught to write by people who have never made money writing. Whether it's a high school teacher or a grade school teacher or a college professor, almost none of them have made money writing. And almost none of them are writing for fans. They're writing for form, and they're writing for correctness. And that's okay. I mean, I think you need to learn that stuff. But I'll tell you, you need to be writing for people who buy books. And what you need to do is relax and realize that your writing is probably good enough. And guess what? You'll know if it's not because people won't buy it. But don't you be the judge of it. Let the market be the judge of it. So relax about your writing. Have some fun with it. Write fast. Hey, how fast can you write? I think we have a slide here, don't we, Diane?
Well, not just yet. Just before we get there, you did obviously write the book, Write Fast, Publish Cheap, and Sell More. And why don't you share with our listeners just why you wrote that?
Well, because I saw so many authors. Here's what happened, folks, honestly. I sold 2.3 million copies of my books, wrote 19 books, and I keep on going. And so many people started asking me for help that what I finally started doing was I finally started writing some stuff to help other authors. And so that's what this book does, is it takes what I know and gives it to other authors so they can do it by themselves. If they read the book and they can get it accomplished. But then I also wanted to make money at it because I have mentor equity. In other words, I had learned some things and then I wrote it down in a book, which is, by the way, is a great thing for you to be doing. People buy the book. People have me help them, whatever. So I did it for the money, but I did it to help people too because I had the knowledge inside me. Folks, this is all it takes for you, is just to simply take what you have inside you, put it on paper, or we don't even use paper so much anymore. You put it on the Kindle or the iBook store, digitally. So folks, just that's what this is all about. This is all about giving people a tool that they can just write with. They can get it published with, and they can do it cheaply.
Right. So now let's talk about just how fast is fast, how cheap is cheap, and how more is more. So
how fast is fast? Well, was it? We say 120 days for nonfiction,
yeah,
and 180 days for fiction. It's taking you longer than that, folks. You're taking too long. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with writing an easy, simple book for your first book. Don't try to write War and Peace for your first book. Write a book. Put it on Kindle. It costs you almost nothing to do. Maybe write a series of short stories if you're a fiction writer. Maybe write a short book if you're a nonfiction writer. But don't go crazy with the research and all kinds of things. Write what you know.
Exactly.
Just get a book out. It's not a big deal.
And Bill, one of the things you helped me with so much when I was once again kind of complaining about my own process is that slow is much faster than never.
Yeah, I remember the day I first said that to you, Diane.
I do too.
And you were saying, I'm going so slow. I said, well, slow is faster than never. Just because I say you could write a book in 120 days, if you miss that mark, let's say it takes you 122 days. Don't kill yourself.
Exactly. So you just got to get going. All right. And that's what we're here to help you with today. Now, how about how cheap is cheap?
Oh, cheap is really cheap. How about $300, less than $300, to not only to write the book and get it published, and get a couple copies of it in your hand, but to get it placed on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Nook and Kindle and iBook store, everywhere. Folks, it's incredible. This has been the democratization of the publishing world. It's just all changed. Just like people have gone to garage bands for
recording.
Mm-hmm.
It's now in your hands, and that's the good news is you can control it, I say we certainly, Bill broke the code, and that's what we're here to help you with too. Now, how more is more?
Well, how much do you want to make by doing this? Here's the thing, folks. You're not going to write a book and sell a gazillion copies and become wealthy on that. That model doesn't work so much anymore. I mean, it might happen to you, but what's going to happen is you're going to begin a writing career. You break in, you write a book, you write a second book, you start to find out what people are interested in, and you build a community and a following. And we're going to be talking to you about that. It can all be done online, which is really fantastic. You get away from this, traveling around the country trying to do book signings at places, which that doesn't work. So this is a great way to do it. You're building a community of readers, buyers, and influencers, and we'll talk to you more about that in the sections coming up.
All right, so get tuned for some more details on how to write fast, publish cheap, and sell more.